If you ever wanted to learn how you can build a web application that takes very minimum amount of effort and it is fast as hell, also it does not take a lot of footprint on your server, and here, this is exactly how I'm gonna show you how to do that. And before we go ahead and get right into it, let me show you 3 examples of the applications that we are gonna build in this video. The first one will be just static. Second will be a dynamic routes. And the third application will be where we're going to be talking to a database, loading information, bringing it back, and then loading it up here. And I will tell you this framework that I created, what I call is run. I should really call it just fly because it's really that fast. And you will see soon enough why. And then there's another tab here for the database. You know what? Let me go right into it. So the database that I will be using is called Supabase. This thing is extremely fast. When I say fast, I'm talking like fast. I have tested this thing out up to 100,000 rows and got them back onto the client side of things. And it did not disappoint me. Like, I am not even kidding. This thing is extremely fast. And we're going to be looking into that in the database side of things. And you will be shocked as I was. And I've been doing this for a while, so nothing really shocks me. But this thing blew my mind. So I'm not going to waste your time anymore. Sit back, relax, enjoy this video because you are going to be blown away. So let's go to the first part. I'm going to show you how this thing works. And then I'll show you the load time for every single one of these frameworks, and you'll see. So here we go. So the first one is basically static websites. Think of this like as your static web HTML pages. Let's say if you have, in this case, let's just say we have 1, 2, 3. So you're going to create 3 different pages. And then when you load them up over here, and you know what, let me go ahead and go here, and I'm just going to delete this out. This is for another project. Copy this. So typically, if you have learned about the pretty URL framework that I teach on the other videos that I have, it will look like this, like that. But if you are not used to it, more than likely you would put it something like this, like index.html or page 2, page 1, page 3, so on and so forth. Not the way to do it. But if you haven't watched my last video, go check it out. You know exactly what I'm talking about and you will see it. So let's get right to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to be building pretty URL. So this is the base URL. And then if I click over here, about, and then this changes without reloading the page. So here it is. So if I go to user, and then we have another URL that changes, and these are all pretty URL, which also means if I go ahead, let's just say under about me, right? So if I copy this URL, go over here, and then go to my private browsing, I guess right here, and then load it up, it will load up that pretty URL right here on that page. And if I go over here and copy the contact page, delete it, go over here, open another tab, and it will take me back to that particular contact page. So this is the part where I'm saying this thing is going to blow your mind. So when I click over here, home, it loads up, about, loads up, contact page, loads up. So let me just show you the speed part of it, because your application is slow as hell. Nobody is ever going to use it. And that's one of the things that we as a web developer have to keep in mind. So we're going to go over here, right click, inspect, and go over to the network tab. And I am going to be reloading the page, and just keep in mind right over here. I don't know if it's going to let me zoom in. It does let me zoom in. Perfect. So I'm going to refresh it. And now, literally under 113 milliseconds, it loaded the whole page. So if I click over here and then clear out, so there's nothing here, like literally nothing here. So if I click on about, it loads up like instantly, and then loads up instantly here. So here's the magic. Let's say if I want to do this, right? Normally, let's say if you figure out a way like I did in the past where I would just go ahead and load it up and the URL gets changed, but when you refresh it, that URL goes back to the basic home screen or whatever the first page is. But this run framework doesn't do that. It works just like your any CMS frameworks out there. So we're gonna click reload. It's gonna take me back over here. So I'm gonna close this out just for now. And then same thing for about, boom. Same thing for this, boom. So whenever I click on it, reload the page. So for example, let's say for example, right? I go to a website, let's say, I don't know, YouTube or something, and there's a URL there. And if I copy that URL and if I send it to somebody else, like my friend, hey, go check out this cat funny video. When that person clicks on that cat funny video link that I sent, it should go back to that video alone. And that's exactly how this is going to work. So let's go over to the next part of it, which is your dynamic routing, which means you'll see soon enough. So let me go ahead and clear all this crap out. And we'll go ahead. We got home, boom, and then user, and then this right here. Up until here, everything is good. See this user, this is what it is. But this part is all dynamic, and you could use that for your processing of the information. So for example, 42 is here, perfect. I go over here and I change the number to 100, whatever, right? And then that particular dynamic route, I can get the ID of it, bring it in here, and then use it for further routing process. And then next part is you can also do what I call is a URL query string. So we have pretty URL, and then for some reason, I don't know why you want to do that, but for some reason, if you did, this framework will handle it as well, which is called query string. So I click over here. So we have 3 parameters in the query. So let me just show you. Copy this, bring it here, and delete this crap. So we have search, and then the first parameter is Q for router, type, and then we have page. And we want to get the value for every single one of them. And we could do that right here. So Q for route, type is advanced, page is number 2. So let's go here. Page is number 2. Boom. You can get that too. Tell me how many other framework that you know that you could do that. But if you don't need to learn them. Learn this. And when I show you how easy it is to incorporate it into your project, you'll be like, man, why the hell did I waste my time learning Laravel and other bull crap? You'll see why. So we'll click on next part, which will be AJAX, which means we want to go to a API URL, grab the data, bring it in, and then utilize that data. And this will happen all without refreshing the page. And you're like, whoa, whoopity-doo, I can use that to a regular AJAX request where the page doesn't load, but you won't be able to do what I'm going to show you next. So let's do the first part where whoopity-doo, you could do that. Click on AJAX. It's going to go load. Takes literally less than half a second. You won't even notice it. So if I go here, boom, it's here. Like, it seems like instant, right? But what if I reload this page? A normal, typical application wouldn't go back. Unless it's like one of those CMS things, then it's a different story, like WordPress or Joomla or any of those framework. And just to give you a heads up, I'm gonna use this run framework to create a CMS that I am gonna give that to you, so you can use that for your website. And when you see that, when it's finished, I will give it to you for cost of absolutely nothing. The only thing you have to do to get it is subscribe to the channel so that you will know when it comes live. And I'm not going to advertise it. It's just going to be like, hey, I'm just going to mention like I'm creating this video. And if you want to go further, go on to my website, which is Code with Mark, and sign up for my newsletter. And I'll send out all the people who sign up and how they can use that framework for their CMS. So let's go. So if I reload the page, boom, it's going to come back here. I don't know if you saw it or not. I did reload it, but it was so fast, you didn't even see it. Boom, boom. And that's that. So now next thing, what we're going to do is look at the time frame of how long it takes to run all of these things. So let's go over here and let me just go to network. I should just move it right here. That's good. So let's reload the page. And this one takes about 89 seconds, not a whole lot. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out and clear it out, and then go over here, go to the first one, which is the dynamic router, and then query string. Nothing is being loaded because it's all static, but the AJAX part is pretty important. Well, click on this, you'll see the AJAX request. It went to this particular URL, grab the thing, put it in here, convert it into JSON, and put it right into the thing. And the whole thing took about 32 miserable millisecond. Like, imagine that. So let's go to the next one, which would be our blog with the database being using the Supabase. I don't know why they call it, but whatever. It is what it is. But I think moving forward in all of my projects, and I'm going to be using this. And one of the projects that I'm working on that I want to build publicly, it's called, well, I'm not going to tell you. I'll just tell you it's going to be public. Details are coming along. You're going to absolutely love this. If you love any of my videos that I create, you're going to be like blown away, because this particular project is going to be me building a new SaaS company in the public. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, what tools I'm going to do it, how I'm going to market it, how I'm going to take that particular SaaS company and to make my first $10,000 from it. I'm going to tell you exactly how I'm going to do that. And if you are up for the ride, and if you're like, man, I want to learn how you do that, subscribe so you get notified, and you also know when the new video drops, because you are gonna, if you're not gonna be subscribed to it, you're gonna miss out, man. And you never, ever gonna hear from me again. You're gonna miss out on an opportunity how to make $10,000 as quick as possible. And this new company, and I'm gonna do it in a record time. I'm gonna put this out there. When I start working on it, which I haven't done it yet, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna build it, I'm gonna launch it, and I'm gonna market it in just 2 weeks. That's right. In just 2 weeks, I'm gonna launch that thing and I'm gonna start to make money. And if you want to learn how to do that in 2 weeks, make sure you follow along and follow me right here. All right, so next part, we're talking about database. So if I refresh it, nothing happens because there's no post right there. So we're gonna go ahead, create a post. So we can go over here and we could just say, hey, test. I can't even type. Test 1. And then I'll just call it T1. And this is my first post using run. I'm just going to call it CMS, I guess that's fine. And I'll just make this just to whatever. Make it a little, like, change the size on this. Boom. And I'm going to click publish. And you see, nothing really happened here because I haven't finished the coding part of it. But just to show you, if I go back to old posts, you'll see I have a post title called test 1. And then if I click on this and pay attention how quickly it will go. Boom. Like it was local. Like this right here. Like I'll click here, static, because it's not going to anywhere. But it actually went to the database, which is this, and then came back and reloaded it. And same thing with this. When I click on this, it's that quick that you don't even realize how crazy fast it is. And just to show you, I'll show you the time. Yes, let's do this. So I go over here, reload the page, And this one, come on, zoom out of it a little bit, I guess. Zoom out. This took about 149 seconds. So it has to go to the database and then come back and so on and so forth. But if I clear it out and let's see how long it takes for it to go ahead, get that particular post and bring it back. It took about over here about 137 seconds, it says, but as you saw, it's like nothing. So let me go ahead and create another post, and I'll just close this out and call it post 2 p2. This is my second post, if I can spell it, comma 2. Okay, so let's see how long it takes to go to the database, save it, and then let's see. It took about 93 milliseconds. I mean, talk about the speed of this. If I were to do this locally using PHP, I would never get this kind of response. And I have done a lot of projects and never gotten anything close to under 100, like ever. And I've been doing this thing forever, like for a very long time. So if I go back now, if I go here and say, hey, show me all the posts. And this took 2 posts, 145 seconds. I'm sorry, not a second. 145 millisecond. That's like 1/20th of a second. That's extremely fast. So now that you are probably blown away, it's like, holy cow, Mark, this is amazing. And I'm gonna click over here. This is the second post. Go here. This is the first post, and you saw this right here. And now I'm gonna show you how do you create it. And you're like, that's great that you could do that. Amazing, good for you. But how do I incorporate this into my project? So let's go over to the VS Code, and we're gonna go ahead step by step and every one of these routes. I'm gonna close this out. So there are these 3 folders, and I'm gonna walk you through how you can utilize it. And this is under the Run framework. We have static, dynamic, and database. And there's gonna be another one called CMS, Content Management System, that I'm going to build it and I'm going to give it to you for free so you can use it for your website. You can even use it and charge your clients like $1,000 for this, and this is going to be amazing because when you show them and then see how fast it is, and when they are going to have their audience go to it and the amazing response time they're going to get, they're going to give you about $1,000. So I just want to give this to you for free. So subscribe if you want that particular thing. All right, so let's go to the first part. In here we have, why do we have this here? You know what, let's go here. So here, yeah, I don't know why I have this here. I'm gonna delete this out. Hopefully it won't mess it up. So if I go over here and this, here, and refresh it. Okay, that works. So I guess that was just another file that I was testing it out. So that's why it's there. So yeah. So we got 1 file, 2 file, folder, app, routes, and that's it. So 2 files, and that's it. 4 files, and we're done. That's the minimum amount of footwork it has. It doesn't take anything that. And when you look at it, and look at the size of it. It's 2 kilobytes, which is absolutely nothing. HT file, which is about 1 kilobyte, which is also absolutely nothing. And then from here, which is the meat and potato, which is this file. This is the one that I created for you. And this is the one that will allow you to have a dynamic routing like this. And when you refresh the page, it will also, you know what, let me just show you. So what I mean is like this. This will create a dynamic routing and pretty URL. And when you refresh it, it will also reload the page to this particular router. And that whole thing, like literally the whole thing, is just 4 kilobyte, like less than the actual code of when I'm going between the thing. That's crazy. So let me show you how you do it. So what you do is you can literally just go ahead, and if you watched any of my videos And I always say you have to try really hard, like extremely hard, to be lazy, to not follow along with what I create, because I make it like super lazy. Even you are the laziest person in the whole world, you can still do this, because I don't want you to give me any excuse. Oh, I don't want to know how to do this. You could do this, man. You can copy this thing, put it in there, and that's that. And by the way, if you want to learn, if you want to use this kind of thing, you have to have what's called the XAMPP. Let me just show you XAMPP. And then you can just Google this, download it, and then when you're done with it, just to show you, it's gonna come over here. It's gonna look like this. Click over here, like a start button. Click over here. It's gonna run the server, and then you go to a. So this is the main thing. Copy this, put it right here. Literally the whole folder. I will give it to you. Put it in there, and then you will have the same structure as you see in front of you right now. So let's go deep dive into it over here. So I'm going to open up the htaccess file, which is something that you would need. And then this is the route that you want to put in here, because that's the base URL. Base URL meaning it's in your route. This is the main root. Within this main root, there's a folder called run framework. And then within this, there is a file called 01 static. And this is the path you want to put in here in order for you to work. And then the rest of it, you can literally just copy and paste it. You don't need to know it. But just to give you an idea, this is the file name. Or if it's not directory, then it's going to go ahead and do that. And then this is the index.html file that it looks for. And whenever it finds it, it's going to write it to that. If you don't know any of that, forget I even said that. Just forget about it. Like literally just forget about it. Just keep in mind, if you change this route to anything else, you just got to do it. Change it over here, right? So for example, let's say for whatever reason, you want to take all of this, copy it, and you want to put it in your main root folder right over here. Then all you have to do, go to your htaccess file, take this, delete it, and that's it. That's all you got to do. But if you want to, from your root, so think of this slash, so first slash would be your root. There's a folder, and then there's another folder. You want to put that in here. All right, that's that. I don't want to beat a dead horse any more than I already explained it. I think I explained it pretty well. So let's open up your HTML file, the index.html file. And this one is using pretty static stuff, so not crazy going on. Basically, it has the jQuery, of course, Bootstrap framework, of course, and then a couple of a body thing. I'm just changing the margin up top, the navigation pointer, and the font size. Nothing crazy. And then this is the container. Within the container, I have a H tag, and if you want, I can zoom it in a little bit. I guess make it easier for you to see, because I don't want you to say I can't see. But guess what? You don't need to see. I'm giving you the file. You can see it when you open it up. You can zoom it in. So you have it. All right. So this is the nav, which is just 3 buttons, which is home, about, user, content. And then from here, we have 2 JavaScript files that I'm including. One is called the route, and it has to be in this order because the route has to be called before you can actually use it in this file. So let's take a look at the route folder, which is under the run, static, JS, and then route. And let's go route. And here, if you don't know anything, you can just literally not have to worry about it. But if you know a little bit about JavaScript and you're like, oh, you know enough to be dangerous, you could poke around, look around there. I wrote this just for you so you can actually utilize it. And I don't know why, but I want to make sure that you can learn this thing and create amazing web applications so that you can get paid. That's the goal of this channel, for me to help you get paid. That's it. All right. And if that's not good enough reason to follow, I don't know what it is. So if you want to learn how to get paid from your skills, and go ahead, man, click the subscribe button so that way you know. And also leave a comment below as to what you have thought about this so far, and any of the previous video, or anything you got in your mind related to Web development. Don't tell me about your baby mama drama. I don't care. Personally, really, I don't care. All right, so that's that. So let's go on. So this is, if you don't care about it, you don't want to know it, and you're like, I don't care, make sure it works, then forget about this. Forget even it existed. Just include it and move on. That's it. And you gotta make sure that when you're including it, just make sure you use the absolute path, which means the exact path where this file is located at. Because if you don't, like I did, because I was trying to be slick about it, the route breaks. So you got to tell it exactly where the file is at. So in this case, root directory, a run framework, static, and then within the static folder, there's a JS folder. Within this JS folder is the route. And then same thing from this one, right? And that's that. So let's take a look at the app. And in here, what are we doing? I was just testing it out, so I'm gonna ignore this. Don't worry about that part. And also don't worry about this part. So the way to use it is this. If you want to use the router, which is in here, what you do is you can create a route, a variable, and then you call it, and then you put in the base folder. So in this case, once again, you got the root directory, and you got a folder, and you know what it is, right? So you put that in here. Well, however, if you're using it in the root directory, you can literally go ahead and take this out, and that's that. So it would be like this, boom. But if you're using it as a subfolder, you got to put those subfolders specifically in there. And then we're going to go right ahead. So this is the route, which is the, and if you ever watched my secure routing for PHP, this will look similar, like very similar. And this is the route. This is how you call a route. So in this case, so let's go over here. So we'll go here. So the very first one, which is this, home, which means there's nothing after this. That will be that. And then we have about. So this is about. And then we have contact, then user contact, and that's that. So whenever we put nothing in here, this is the route will be considered as a home page. And this is what we are putting it, which is pretty standard static thing. And just to show you one more thing I want to share before we go any further would be I have this container. I have this h1 tag, then I have a nav, and then I have another container called ID, called app. This is where all the HTML data gets imported into it or shows. So this is what I am doing right here. So I'm saying, hey, this is a string where it says header, boom, boom. And then whenever I go to click on the home button, I'm going to go ahead and load that in there. And it's that simple. And then same thing for about, and these are right now, you're like, oh, wow, what would you do? You're just putting like a string of data in here and putting in here. There's nothing crazy about it. At a surface level, yes, there's nothing crazy about it. But if you understand the methodology that I'm teaching you, you can replace this with a dynamic data, meaning you call the API, whether it be like some external API or your database via the AJAX request, and you import it in here, and then you use that data, as you'll see soon enough, into the putting it out there. It's the same concept. So right now we're just walking through static, so that's why you see just strings. But when we move further, you'll see how crazy it goes. And this is another route called user, which is the URL, and then dynamic. So whatever the person puts it in the URL. So in this case, let me just show you. I'll go over here. I put down, let's just say contact. This is what it is. So this is the dynamic route right here. Go away. So up until user, and then this is what is called contact. And then that's where this is coming in. And if you ever used PHP dynamic routing, this will look very similar. And imagine this. You're getting all of this functionality from miserable 5 kilobytes of file called router. Think about how powerful that is. Think about it. And when you start to use this, you're gonna be like thinking about like, holy shit. Wow, Mark, you just changed the way I thought about creating a website. And now all I have to really do have just these five files or 4 files. Actually, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm done. And I can build them, as you'll see soon. How you can use the Supabase database, and you can build them locally and upload all the data in there, and then just upload these 4 files, and you're done. Your site is live. You don't need to do anything extra crazy work. Like when I used to do it, the MySQL database, I will build locally, then I have to import it into MySQL database, then I have to create it in my web hosting, then I have to import the data, and then I gotta update the config file, and yada yada yada. It was a lengthy process, but doing it this way with the external source of database that's already available. And by the way, that one is absolutely free. Just to show you, this right here, you can get a free tier where you can have 2 databases, and each one of them can scale up to very high. Like we're talking like 100K plus. That's insane. And then you can call up to, I believe their free tier is about 50,000 monthly users, and you can have up to about 500 megabytes of a database size. But if you want to go on the Pro plan, which is about 8 is it 8 gig? Yeah, 8 gigs of database size. Like 8 gigs of database size. I don't know any hosting plan that will offer that much space of a database size. I know the one that I use, they only give you about 2 gigs, which is more than sufficient. Like one of my databases table has about 200,000 rows, and that's just one. And I have several tables that are like that. So imagine if you get about 1,000,000 rows of data in one table, and that's not even cracking 1 gig. Like it's not even cracking. The one that I have is about 100 and I think 199 megs with about 200,000 rows of data in one of the database. So I'm not even cracking 1 gig yet. And 8 gigs of space, man, you could scale that thing, and only for about $25 a month. And if you get people who are using it actively, and you get about, I think they say 100,000 active users, I mean, I'm not even going to do this because they're not paying me for enough to promote them for free. But it's really good company. I mean, these guys like got this thing figured out. And there's one more surprise when it comes to here that I have built for PHP. It's called a PHP wrapper for this, and you'll see I'm very excited about this particular thing. This is going to change the way I create things, and this is also what I'm going to be using to build my new SaaS company publicly, and you'll see exactly why. But anyway, let's move on back to our thing. So we got the dynamic routers, and then this is once again just string, and that's that. And then we have a search, which is a query string that we talked about here. Was it here? No. Yeah. Okay. I think on here I'm not using it, so I'm just gonna delete this out for now. Yeah, I'm just gonna delete it out, make it clean, because that's on the next part. And then this is the default router. So what that means is, like, say if the above routes, like all 3 of them, do not exist, it's gonna say, oh my God, we got 404 error. We can't find this crap. Like, what do you want me to do? So let me show you how that works. So I'll just go over here and then blah, blah, blah. I'm just gonna say user, blah, 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 blah. And then it's not gonna do anything. So let me go ahead and say, blah, 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 whatever crap. And then it's gonna say, oh, 404 error. Imagine on a client side without actually having to go reload the page, and you could throw a 404 error and actually do something, and it gives you the exact path of what that 404 error is. How incredibly cool is that? Like, wow, right? Would you not agree? Like, wow. And you could do that just on client side. So everything I'm teaching right now is on client side. You're never hitting the your server side via like either Node.js or PHP or any of that stuff. It's client side, database, done. So that leaves your hosting part of it absolutely next to nothing. You're not even going to resource the hell out of that thing, because once your application is loaded on the client side, everything in here is all dynamic, which means it never hits your server again. It loads it because all the files are loaded on your client side, and then we're just communicating to the database, which is another amazing database, and that's it. So your web resources on the hosting side will go down to like maybe 5%, and the other 95% will be free. Unlike your PHP, where you have to go back and forward and resources and things of that nature. Speaking from experience, it's pretty blown away. All right, so let's go on. So let's go here, and then you could do whatever you want with your custom URL path, whatever. And then last but not least, you want to use this to start the routing process. And this also helps, and you have to include it in here, because when you reload the page, this is the one is going to go see what the URL path is. So for example, what the path is. So in this case, it will be this. It's going to go load this router. And that's why this does it. And I have done this for you, so you don't have to worry about any of that. I mean, it's extremely easy. And that's that. And in case for whatever reason you want to, there's another function that I created in the class. Is called current path. Basically, it's just going to get you the current path of the page that loaded, in case you want to go on and do further manipulation of your routes or whatever. You could do that as well. And then this is the part that I added where it says make active. So what that means is this. So if I click on this about, it's going to just take this and make it into active button and turn it gray, from gray to green. And then same thing from here and here and here. And then you'll see, I'll explain to you why I did what I did. In the current path, I didn't include the code in here. When the page reloads it, I want to take that path and make what I'm doing right now, make the screen. So for example, this is the about me, about section of the run framework. If I reload the page, it will reload the page, but it won't make this a green again until I click on it. And I left that intentionally so that you'll see when you go on, and in case you want to learn how to do that, you can go on working on that. So this is this. All right, so let's move on. And then other three navigation holder, basically what it is, whenever I click on, what is it? The home button, the about button, the user button, it's gonna go ahead, hey, home, about, contact. It's gonna go ahead and obviously make that button active. And then if I wanna go to that particular navigator of that route, I'm gonna put in here. So it's gonna be router, navigate, and then whatever the path is. In this case, it'll be just nothing, because that's the home page. And then for the home about, it's going to be this. And then for the router, for the user, it will be this. And that's it for the static part. So that's what we are doing. So let me go back here once again. Reload the page. Home gets this. About gets this. User this. And that's that. Let's move on to the next part, which is the dynamic part. So the first two part is pretty similar, with the dynamic routing and all that stuff. So I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go over to the query string and AJAX part. So let's go ahead, and you'll see it's the same exact thing, just rinsing or repeating over and over again. And it has your htaccess file. It has an index file, PHP. I mean, not PHP, sorry. I'm so used to saying PHP. It just comes out flowly, naturally. So this is the search part where it goes in the query string, and then this is the AJAX part. And then same thing from here. We got your router, we got your app, and that's that. And let's go to the router. You could do that if you want to poke around. Boom, 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 done. But we go all right to the app. And then if you go back here, and only thing I changed in here is the path, because it's in a different folder. So for the main one, I just said, hey, just type this in there. And for the user parm, I just say, get the parm and then the ID, just to show you. So in this case, the ID will be this, whatever is in here after user, whatever that is, I'm gonna put it right here. Okay. And then for the search part, the parm, which in this case will be the query string, which will be Q, type, and page. And then I said, this is the query, parm, passing parameter, the Q, type, and page, and I'm just echoing it out. Obviously, if you get that, you want to do an AJAX request to your server to do further data mining or whatever thing that you want to do with your application. I'm just giving you a framework. So you can use this framework to go further. And you can add as many query strings as you like, or as many dynamic routes as you like. There is no end to this, right? And let's go on. And then it will just, I'm just going to cancel this out for right now. And then I'm just going to say, hey, if it doesn't have Q, then don't do anything. So for example, this is the query string, which is all of this. But if it doesn't have Q, don't include anything. Just say nothing. So for example, if I just call 1, it's going to say, hey, there's nothing there because the Q doesn't exist. That's the required parameters. You could use that as well for yourself. So that's why I say, or you could say, if there is no type, don't do anything. Or if there's no page, don't do anything. Whatever you like, right? That's something that you can include it into your application. And the next part is the AJAX one, which is this right here. If I click on this, it's going to go run to that, come back, boom, done. So let's take a look at how does that work. So from here, whenever I click on the button AJAX, which is this, it's going to come to this route. It's going to take this URL, which is just a dummy URL that I use for testing purposes only. Obviously, you're going to be including this into your database. And then we're going to go ahead and get the GET request and leave JSON. And then obviously I'm using the jQuery AJAX request. And then on success, it's going to parse it out into JSON. And then I'm saying, hey, take this, show it in here under the pre-tag so it becomes a little nicely formatted, and then just show it. And then last but not least, this is the default route. If you can't find anything, just say, I can't find anything, and I don't know what to do. Oh no, can't find your page. That's what I mean. And that's that. And then same thing in here. This is your home route. Because of that, this is the user testing, and this is where you put in the parameter. And this will happen when you actually click on any one of these buttons. Hope that makes sense. So for home, it will become that. For this, it'll become that. For this, it'll become that. And for this, it'll become that. And you probably notice when I'm clicking on it, I did not add the functionality of adding a green button change like I did in here, like this, like this, like this. I just didn't do it because this is just for testing purposes only. But when I make my company, the SaaS company is going to be amazing. Like, I am very excited, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. And I'm going to do it all in 2 weeks. I'm going to build it. I'm going to launch it. And then I'm going to have people start using it. And if you want to be one of those people, start using the company that I'm going to launch right here on this YouTube channel. I'm going to make a live, share everything. Make sure you subscribe so that way you know exactly what the company is all about and how you, more specifically, if you were to create your own SaaS company that makes about 10K in a very short period of time, that's the thing that I want you to be able to build. Because if you could do that, then there's the next phase, which is building it to 6-figure. And that's what I have done for 2 of my other companies. And I want to show you how to do that as well. All right, so let's move on. So the next part, we're going to go into what's called that post, the database side. And there's one thing. Let me go ahead and close this out. And boom. And in here, I have, guess what? It's still the same 4 files. Nothing changes, as you can see. So we got the HTML, same, blah, blah, blah. Only thing I included in here is the the tiny editor and the super base file. That's it. And then the rest, guess what? I have two of these. It's called the post and then create and then same structure below. As you can see, rinse and repeat, copy and paste throughout the whole thing. And then we'll go over to the htaccess, just change the folder name in here, and that's it. And the route, I didn't touch it. Literally just copy the file, put in here, and that's it. So let's close all these out. And then for your route, and you can do all this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete it because I don't care. Because this is for testing purposes. I'm going to delete this database. So when you get this file, this is going to be empty. So you have to fill this in. And you know what to do. So what we got to do is click this URL and then this key, which I'm going to delete and delete the database as well. And yeah, put that in here. And you can start using the Supabase database. I don't know why I can't say Supabase. Yeah, Supabase. Weird name, but whatever. And then same thing from here. It's going to be this as a router. And then you're going to rinse and repeat. But then this time, what we're doing, we are using the Supabase class called client, which we have called it here. And this will be, think of it as like your MySQL connection function. And that's it. So use this client. And then we're going to call the table, because it says from, table will be the blog. And then we have, these are the different columns or fields, you can call it. And then these are the fields. And I'm getting the post title, the slug. And it's going to order by created date. And that's the structure that I have built it in the database side of things. And I wanted to ascend it, which means false. That means it's going to show me the latest one that I just created at the top and the oldest one at the bottom. And then it's going to give me the data. If there's an error, I'm going to console log that. And then once I get the data, and if there's a data in here and make sure it has some kind of data, then I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then what I will do is I'm going to use the jQuery looping each loop thing. And then I'm going to say for everything, I want you to give me the title. And then in here, the post slug, which will be my one of those click button things. And I want to put in here. So I'll have the title and the slug. And when I click on this button, it's going to go further and go to the database again, and then get the actual post content. Not a description, but a content. And then once you get that, then you put in here. And I'm going to go into it in a couple seconds. So, and then it's going to go ahead and append it and go through all of them. So let's say if you have 5 posts, right? You can go through every single one of them. It's going to get the title. It's going to get the slug. And then it's going to go into, go to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and next one. And then next one is the create router, which means it's going to take the string, which is basically a container, as I said. And then go ahead and remove the tiny URL editor if it already exists, and it uses this particular editor function that I created, which you can find it right here. And only thing it takes is just the ID, and that's it. Where is it? Right here. No, right here. So the content ID will be this right here. This is where the content is going to come from. And this is where it's going to show you that what you see, what you get kind of thing. So just to show you. So if I rerun this, this is one of the things, just show you. So this is the post 1, post 2. So if I click on this, remember when I said the title? And when I click on it, it's going to be this. And then when I create it, and this is what you see, kind of like a editor where you can go ahead, type it, and then format it, and so on and so forth. And that's exactly what is happening in here in this function. It just kind of initiates it, and that's it. And when I click on this save button or publish button, and that's what happens in here. Where is it? Right here, save. If I go here, see, when I put this container, I don't want to confuse you. So this is what happens. When I click on the create button, it's going to take this container, put it into the app container, and then after it puts it in there, it's going to call this function and then say, hey, go ahead and add to the container a tiny editor part of it. And that's that. Then when I click on save button on the tiny editor part of container, which will be this publish, it's going to go ahead and call this event. And then it's going to be a sync, because you'll see why. So next thing what it does, it just go ahead and get this, and this is going to get the content of that container. So what that means is this. Let's say if I type something in here, blah, 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 blah. Whatever I type in here, when I click on this publish, it's going to be grabbed by this line of code. And then it's going to grab the title, it's going to grab the slug, and then it's going to go ahead and put it into a object that I can go ahead and send it to the database. And we want this async in here so that when we are sending it to the client, and we want to make sure that it doesn't go any further until it goes to the client. It's basically like using a AJAX request, but this is for Supabase, their own library. They're gonna go to collect, go to the blog, take the post. In this case, this is this. Insert this particular thing in here, and then go ahead and do it. Which means post it. That's it. It's literally that simple. And then once you have posted it, then if you want to use a select, which means it's going to give you back the stuff that you inserted that return. If you want to, you can. I was testing it out. That's why I left it in the air. But if you don't want to, you could just see just these 2 line of codes, and that's it. You insert the document in there. And then if it shows an error, it's going to show you an error message here. Otherwise, it's going to console log and say success. And that's the end of that. It's that simple. And then we're going to move on as to, so for example, if I go here, and then when I click on this will be the post ID, the slug, the post that we want to see the content of. When I click on this is what it's going to do. And that's the next route. So in this case, we post ID. We want to look at this ID and get the ID, which will be the slug. Then we want to call the super, you get the point, right? Client from blog, select post title, slug, content, where equals, so in this case, where the post slug equals this. And then this is the column, if you think about it the way. So this is the column where the value equals this, which is coming from the ID, which will be the top bar. So in this case, it will be, let's just say, so we clicked on that, and then we want to say, I'm going to delete all this. So we clicked on that. So this is post, and then this is the ID. And then this is the ID here, which we're getting from Parm, ID, slug, we're passing in here. And then we want to make sure if it finds it, it's going to come back and give us data. But if it doesn't, then we don't want to do anything. Or we want to do like 404 or some kind of error message that you could do it in here in yourself. So for the sake of argument, it did find it. Then I want to show it as a title. I'm going to put it into the card and then show the content of it. So which looks like this right here. So boom, test 1. Boom, here it is. This is the card. This is the content of the post. And that's that. And that's that. And then we're going to go ahead and default route it. If we can't find anything, then, hey, I'm going to show it, throw a 404 error message. So we go over here and we're just going to say blah, 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 blah. It finds nothing because I didn't put the logic in here. But if I go ahead now, this is the 404 error. But if I wanted to put the logic in here, so for example, if it does not have any data that comes back, which means it can't find that particular post, you can say else and do the logic in here. It's very simple. It's not that complicated. And then we're going to start the route. And then this is the one that we just already went through it. But if you want to look into it, you can. And then we have a navigator handles. Whenever we click on post, this gets happen. Whenever we click on create, this happens. And whenever we click on single post, which would be, if I go here, which would be this right here. So if I click on this, just to show you, the button that says single post, this is from the container that we loop through it from the jQuery each. All right. And then we go back here and it's going to go over here. It's going to say post equals slug. And then it's going to slug. It's going to be navigated to the route, which will be this right here. Boom, 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 boom. And that's that. So that right there, you have it. So I'm going to go ahead, refresh it. I'm going to create one more post. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say dummy English text because I want to get that. So just show you, this can handle all kinds of big stuff. So let's just say 100-word English words, include the HTML, random this, random that, and we're gonna go crazy, like really crazy. Generate 10 paragraph of 100 words. Now you know what? Let's go crazy. Let's go 600. I'm gonna go here and then boom, that's pretty long, right? So let me go ahead, copy it, go back here, and I'm gonna click on this little arrow, paste it. No, not that, sorry. I thought I copied it, no. Copy, paste, boom. And we could just say long post, call it P3, whatever. Go down, click on publish. And before I do that, let me go here. Network, see how long it takes, just out of curiosity. This seems like a pretty reasonable post. I mean, it's not that long, but you know what? Let's make it longer. Go over here. I'm just going to go 1,000 words. Why not? I'm feeling generous. Boom. Copy. Go here and delete. Update it. And now that becomes pretty decent size post. So let's see how long it takes. I'm going to go click publish. It goes, puts it in here. And then this is the next part where it goes and comes back and gives you the tell, hey, this is what it is. But nonetheless, it's about 96 millisecond, which is 1/10 of a second, which is crazy. So if I go back here and all post and then long post, and I want to know now how long it will take. This is going to be very interesting to see how long it takes. And long post under, okay, long post, there's nothing there. What? That doesn't seem right. Go ahead and do that. And let's say long post. Okay, that didn't get updated. So maybe there's a limitation with it or something happened. Let me see. So this is P2. So let me go ahead and maybe make it a less one just for testing purposes, right? So let's just say 500. And this is good that it happens. So that way, when you're doing it, you will see exactly what's going on. Copy it, paste it, and then we'll go over here, this, boom, 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 and we'll call it long post version 2. And I'll call this V2 or V1 for that matter. You know what? I'll call it long post V2. Okay, that's that. So let's see what happens. Boom, it went through, and there's the whole thing. And if I go here, there it is. I don't know why the other one didn't go through. Maybe it's the same. Maybe it's the same title slug that I used. Maybe, possibly, maybe that would be the case. But nonetheless, here it is. So this is went through. So now we're gonna test it out to 1,000. Why not? We're brave like that. Generate it. So let's go, run it, create it, and we'll just say boom. And now we're gonna say long post version 3.0.1. Why not? And in here, I'll just put LP3. And let's see how long that takes. And we're gonna go down, publish. It went through it. Check it here. And here is all that. So let's go back. And this is gonna be this. Boom. And let's go. Let's see what happens. Boom, that's what happens. I think that's exactly what happened. I renamed it the same thing, and it just didn't work. But it works with the whole long text. I'm so glad it happened. So that way you know when you're testing it out that if you use the same URL, the logic should be first check to see if the URL exists. If it does, then go ahead and update it. If it doesn't exist, then insert one. Otherwise, it's gonna just replace the one that you just had, that you just saw right now. So there you have it. This is how we are going to be using this thing. More importantly, you're gonna be using it. So just to recap, there are 3 different versions. There's a static version. There is a so-called dynamic with Ajax. And then there is the database version right here that I'm gonna give it to you. And all you got to do is just click on the link below so that you can download the file, and that's it. And hope you enjoy it. And if you do not subscribe to the channel, you're never ever gonna be able to hear me create any of these videos again, or you're gonna miss out on the opportunity to learn how to make that first 10K from your SaaS company that I'm going to be building it live on this YouTube channel. I've never done this before. I have always done this privately. I have my own little frameworks, how I run my business, how I create my SaaS companies. Based on that, I'm gonna share all of that in here for you so you could do it, because my goal is for you to make your first $10,000. If you do not subscribe, guess what happens? You're never gonna hear from me ever again. But if you do, I'm excited for you, man. I'm going to teach you how to make your first $10,000 going from a web developer to a founder. And I'll catch you in the next one.